Hey everybody, so we're going to do a behind the scenes deal here. Um, it may be stupid, or it may not be, I don't know. But trying to do more interesting things here. We're gonna record the next installment of the dynamic series, and I figured I'd give it a whirl. I don't know if this is going to work or not. I've got the screen capture running right now, and recording from the microphone that I'm not talking into, which now makes more sense. So maybe I'll move the camera this way, or maybe even, if my cable will allow, a little bit more. I don't know. Usually have the hat on to hide the hairline that has recently deceased, but that's fine. The circles aren't bad under my eyes. Usually I have a secret that I don't like to admit too much, but I put this little, I don't want to call it makeup, but it is, but I'll rub just a little bit right there to make it look less like I just got out of a unsavory place, or I haven't slept, which usually that's the case. That's, besides the fact it's hereditary, that's where it comes from. But I've got my coffee. I've got my canned energy situation here, which together will probably give me a heart attack in the next couple of years, along with my love for tobacco, which you know what, I used to keep that not so public, but I really don't care. It's what makes me American. Anyway, without getting into politics of all that jazz, I'm going to put a little more coffee in here. I use my coffee mug. It usually makes things so hot, gotta love Starbucks mugs, that I can't even sip it without burning my tongue, which then ruins the whole coffee experience. So that's no good either. But that aside, we'll get to doing the video. That's good stuff. So we're gonna go back and forth. Hopefully, as long as all goes well, we'll go back and forth from the screen to the lovely camera here, and I'll try and remind myself to talk into the microphone, not to the camera. But in the last video we did, let's see, we worked on kind of tidying up the CSS a little bit. Usually what I do is I'll write down a little bit of what we're going to do, and just to kind of remind me what's going on so I can speed things up. Of course, this is going to be this is a lot slower than what I normally do because I'm narrating what I'm doing. So bear with me here, but usually I'll write down, you know, a couple things. So we cleaned everything up. We have some points that we need to address. We need to be able to add records from the admin. I don't know if I'm ready to get into that yet, but I want to put it on my list here. Let's see. Let's look at what else we did here. We've got our blog. We do need to do the gallery, but that's going to be last. That's going to probably tie in some of the more advanced things. I mean, we're still not going to make the gallery too crazy. It's just going to upload pictures and display them. And maybe even we'll throw in a light box, but I don't even want to say that, even though I just did, because then that might be promising more than I'm ready to do on this particular video. Let's see. Take a look at the admin panel here. Ah, that's what it was. I want to work on the date. the date's showing up as a timestamp, which is great because that's how it's being stored in the database. So let's work on formatting the date. So I think what I'm going to do for this video, the video that we're looking at right here, is I'm not going to do the entire the entire lesson in this video for the behind the scenes. I'll just kind of cut it up a little bit, and then we'll look at how I edit it and all that fun jazz. So you won't have to watch the video twice technically. So I mean, if you just want to watch the lesson, just watch the lesson. But I figured, what the heck, we'll show more of what we do. This is I'm trying to do as many things as we can do for the campaign to raise more money, to show what all goes into what we're doing and how we do it and all that fun stuff. So first thing we'll do is we're going to open up Dreamweaver. I've got everything open from the last video. And I'm going to go ahead and usually what I do is I close everything just so we start out with a fresh look. So we've got our see, this happens sometimes. Alright, we want to access the functions. So if we open up the functions folder, and we're going to open up Sandbox because that's where we have our Git blog at. And what we need to do is figure out how we're going to reformat this date. And that's kind of the beauty of timestamps. Now we can do this either with PHP or we can do this with MySQL. We can return values via the query in a format that we want, and that's the way I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, sidebar here. This is usually when I go research stuff that I don't remember off the top of my head. It may seem like I am able to just pull everything out of my brain as possible at a drop of a dime, but usually what I'll do is flip over to the browser without anybody knowing, and I will go research. Like for now, right now I'm going to type in MySQL and date format because I need to remember the syntax. I could probably wing it, but if I wing it during the video, that doesn't make me come off as knowing. I mean, I like to show mistakes as much as possible, but sometimes I just have to research it first. So I pull up the date and time functions so that I can remember what the syntax is. And I'll write it down to make it seem even more realistic. If we're looking at the screen right now, you can see all these awesome date and time functions. So at this point, I'm going to switch into lesson mode, and we'll make it sound like this was part of the lesson. So if you want to, you can search MySQL and start that over. If you want to, you can search Google, just type in MySQL, date function, date time function, whatever, and you'll get this list of all the functions you can use while working within a query. A lot of these are really nice. You tend to use some of the same ones over and over, and we're going to pick a few of these to use. So that was part of the video. What I talked about before that was not. That was to you. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through before I start the video again and find the ones that I want, because we're probably going to want, I want to put the actual name of the month. So month name. and then the day of the month, which a lot of the syntax is pretty self-explanatory. I don't know how I forget it, but these are things I don't like screwing up. And there's other ways to do this, but I want to show people the multiple functions that are available, so that's why I'm doing it this way. And then we want the year, which is obvious, year. And then we're going to teach we're going to teach how to use what's called an alias, which allows us to return more values than, or it's almost like creating, and this is a little false, but for just explanation purposes, this is like creating a temporary field to return. So now we go back to the video. So as we go through this list, what I want to do is I want to find the right way to display this date. And in my mind right now, let's do the month actually spelled out, so February or January, whatever, and then the day of the month, 02, 04, 31, whatever, and then the 4-digit year. So we find the functions that fit. So we have day of month, and in order to do so, we're going to do something called, we're going to use an alias. And the alias is used by using the AS. AS is the term used to create an alias. It kind of looks like as, and that tripped me up a lot when I was first learning. But it actually almost makes sense though when you read it. If you read this query as a statement, it would almost make sense. So let's look at that. Now I'm going to take a breather, because sometimes when I do this too long, my brain and my body have to catch up. So a little bit of coffee, a little bit of energy drink or something, which one of these days I'll find some better vices, but anything's better than alcohol or anything like that at this point. Otherwise I'd get nothing done. I did a lot of nothing for about 10 years, so we don't need that anymore. I will note though, it's my bandmates always find it interesting when I walk in with a can of energy drink and a Starbucks cup sitting on top of it. I usually get some criticism for that, or at least some good remarks. But back to the video. Got to think for a second. And we're back. So what we're going to do is we're going to edit this query here, this query on line 23. And what we're going to do is we're going to keep it saying select all, but we're going to say select all, comma, and we're going to, normally what you would do is you can use comma to just select specific fields. In this case, we're going to select the same field 3 times, only this, but wrapping it in a function, and I know this doesn't make sense right now, but it'll make sense once we type it out. So the first thing we want is the month name. So we type out month name in all caps, and this is a function, not unlike oops, sorry, we're not on the screen. This happens sometimes. So the first thing we're going to do is type out month name, and we need to put in 2 parentheses because this is a function, and you'll find this pretty universal with most programming languages in general. And then usually I have to wait for Dreamweaver to catch up, because for some reason Dreamweaver does not like my old system. And now I have an FTP error. So as you see, these things aren't as easy as they are. A 15-minute video can actually be an hour-long ordeal. Now I have to figure out why my FTP connection is not working. It could just be Dreamweaver acting up. I'm pretty sure I paid my bill. Let's see what's going on here. So I'm going to test it. Fail. So I'm going to save things, close Dreamweaver, and restart it, see if that's the issue. Welcome to web development. It's not always fun. This is a perfect opportunity to drink more coffee in the late afternoon. There seems to be a serious situation. I think my dogs are sensing it too. So we're going to log into the main control panel here that handles all my hosting and see what the deal is. Okay, so I think I figured out what the issue is. If anybody watched my last, or one of my last radio broadcasts, I had mentioned home security. Well, I had mentioned also that I had set my motion sensor to be a little too sensitive on my driveway and front yard, and well, it's snowing again today, and so it's taking a picture pretty much 4 pictures a minute, it looks like. No, more than that. Oh goodness. It's taking like 30 pictures a minute and uploading them to my server, and I think I overloaded it. So I now have to go upstairs and unplug my cameras for a minute. Do not rob my house. But I think that's the only way. I think what's happening is I have so many connections happening to my server at once that it's blocking me out. So we really don't want that. So I'm going to run and do that really quick. Okay, so the cameras are off. Let's let's hope this fixes the situation here. I'm still deleting images off the server. In fact, it's freezing my browser. Can't find my mouse. There we go. I've used up 5 gigabytes worth of data on that server in like 2 days from snow. So if there was any criminal in there, I missed them because of snow. This is great. Let's see if I can get back into things here. Again, this is just what we got to do. Oh. It worked. It worked. Good deal. We're back in the business. Back to the video. Alright, so I want you to go ahead and save and upload this. Control-Shift-S, or Control-S, Control-Shift-U. And we'll go and take a look at what we did. Now at this point I need to hide all the stuff that I was just doing, and now I gotta wait for that. And again, I'm talking away from the microphone, and I'm whispering as if it's a secret. But while I'm waiting for the browser to catch up with what I was doing, pour some more coffee. There we go. Alright, we're good to go. Now I gotta sign back in as the right user. Now the browser's frozen. I'm glad we caught that though. That could have been a deal. But what a good example of what goes on when making these videos. That doesn't happen all the time. Usually I get these things done and recorded in 15 to 20 minutes and then out the door, but a lot, these things do happen. I need a haircut. So still waiting to log out here of the control panel. All that deleting really, there we go, froze things. So we're back in, and I should be able to access the database again. Yep, good, we're good. So now I can pretend as if none of that happened. Okay, so now we've got our page loaded again here, and I'm just going to go click on Home and then click on Blog again, and there you go. We have our formatted date. Now we could put a comma in there where it's supposed to be, so let's go ahead and do that. Flip back to Dreamweaver. And over here right after the day, just put a comma in there. Make sure it's in between the quotes, because remember we're concatenating, and this is another string. So remember that. Now I really have no idea how long that really took and whether I have time to do any more formatting to this. It seems like kind of a skimpy little video. I'm trying to keep them under 15 minutes now due to people's responses of the videos being too long, but now since all this time has gone by, I've got 35 minutes on the clock. You're not going to see 35 minutes worth of footage, but I really have no idea when I started this. But if you save and upload that, then we can refresh. I didn't save and upload. If you save that and upload it, and then now my wife is yelling about things. I will admit this is the loudest home I've ever lived in. I'm used to a very quiet home. I grew up with quiet people. We talked to each other, but we were quiet. My children and wife and dogs are all very loud. Anyway. Save, upload. Let's go take a look. Now we got a comma. So this is starting to take shape here. It's sorted in the right way. It's sorted descending. We still trying to think of how we want to integrate this, because I'm thinking the blog could actually be integrated into, say, the home page as a sidebar or something, maybe down the line here. So we might just eliminate this blog page, or keep the blog page to show all the blog entries, but then maybe take advantage of the space over here, well, the space that's not there yet, but make some space over here and put some of the blog entries here, the most recent ones, limit it to like 2 or 3, things like that. I'm going to do something else here before we end this lesson. This entry div here, let's call this, I might get rid of it here, but for now let's just call this entry underscore blog, and we'll go into the CSS over here and we'll create a style, or create a rule, upload, refresh. Now we have some spacing. So now we have a little bit, even more contrast to show these are individual blog posts. Now I'll show you just a little, it's not really a secret, but it's something newer to HTML5, and we'll just do this for fun, but it's not really going to match our layout, so we might get rid of it later. But let's do border radius. And I tell you what, this really was a real pain in the ass when we were doing this without CSS3. We had to make images with little rounded corners and put them all over the place, and there was all sorts of different ways that we figured out to combat that. Now we just need to give it a class, or a property of border radius, and we'll give it a border radius of 5 pixels, and that'll go all the way around. Save and upload, Control Shift S. I'm doing it again. Control S, Control Shift U. Go ahead and refresh. There we go. Nice little rounded corners there, and it's subtle enough that maybe we can keep that there. So we've got a nice little look and feel here going. I mean, it's definitely minimal. It's a very minimalist design, but that was the point. The point was to not go overboard with graphics, and just show you how to do things with code, with CSS, with HTML, now PHP, and a little bit of jQuery/JavaScript. So thank you for tuning into this lesson, and we'll get into more of the admin in the next lesson. So that's how we do it, or I do it. I don't know how the other guys do it. I'm not in the same room with them. But you can see there's some stuff that goes into it. I gotta pause. I gotta think, as one might expect. But now that we're done with this, I'm gonna have to pause, and we're gonna switch over to doing. I'm gonna show you a little bit of the video editing that goes involved here. If I can. If I can't, then this is the end of the video. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to pull off running the screen capture. Actually, I might just toss the camera on the screen so you can see what's going on, and switch to the camera microphone, which is going to be a little harsh on your ears, but not as busy. So this will be fun. Let's do that. So I'm going to, let's see here, stop the recording. 42 minutes. This is going to end up being like a 12-minute video. So we're going to stop it. This is always the scariest part of any video I make, because every once in a while Camtasia decides it's not gonna render, or it's not going to put the video together, and I got to start over. And for this one in particular, I don't want to start over. So cross your fingers. That ought to do it. Cord's a little bit in my way, but in fact, I'm going to plug in the HDMI cable so I can preview this on the screen. I think that one's it. Yep, there we go. So when I say I'm looking at the monitor, that's what I'm talking about. So this is the TV. This is what I use to do the editing. It allows me to kind of lean back and not stress my back out a little bit. To that, kind of half of the HD. Tends to make things a little more crisp when I have to do the zoom and pans. So automatically makes keyframes for me, which you can see along here, but I usually get rid of them. I have kind of my own little trick. Now, because of how I'm recording things lately, I get this extra audio track that I don't need, so I always remove that. But let's go ahead and see how loud my speakers are right now. Hey everybody, so we're going to do a... There we go. So I'm going to save this first because I've made the mistake of not doing that. I tend to save about every 5 to 10 minutes so that we don't have too much loss if Camtasia freaks out. And then I zoom in quite a bit. Being someone who's been in the audio field quite a bit, I'm very used to looking at the waveform to know where I'm at. So I can tell when there's a big pause or a spike or something like that. I can tell if I cough too loud or something wasn't going right, like when I had to run upstairs to get the cameras turned off. I'll know where that's at, and I can quickly just, be done with that. So let's go ahead and hit play. Actually, I just realized I need to do 2 of these. So I'm going to save this and then save a copy, because one of these is going to be the one that you're going to see from this video. Let's copy. I can't read right now. Contacts are foggy. So go ahead and reopen one we just had open. There we go. So zoom in, take a look at the waveform.
So this one we're editing right now is going to be the actual product, and then I'll go through and edit the video that you're actually going to be watching right now, should you actually want to. So we first start out to see what's going on here.
Hey everybody, so we're going to do a behind the scenes deal here.
So I already know that most of this beginning here, I remember already that I was talking to the camera, not through the mic, so you can see the spike here when I first started talking to the microphone. So I know that this needs to be trimmed out. I don't even have to worry about it. And what's cool about Camtasia, it's not a very good, or at least this version of Camtasia, I like version 7 over the newer one for what I'm doing, is it does more of a, I believe it's called a rolling edit, where I can trim this out and it automatically bumps it back. So I know that at least at the point where the audio gets louder is when I started talking into the mic. So I can at least trim out that, because I remember talking to you guys to the camera in the beginning.
From the microphone that I'm not talking
there we
into,
go. So now I can turn things down a little bit.
So maybe I'll move the camera this way, or maybe even my cable will allow.
Yeah, see, so a lot of this is me talking to you guys that I can trim out for the lesson.
I've got my coffee, I've got my...
Alright, so let's go ahead and trim this out, and then Control S, save a little bit, just for good measure.
Canned energy situation here.
And here I'm still babbling on about my vices.
Will probably give me a heart attack in the next couple of years, along with my love for tobacco.
And let's go ahead and check this up here.
Hopefully, as long as all goes well, we'll go back and forth from the...
Okay, so we can trim that out. Let's see where we're at now.
The screen to the lovely camera here, and I'll try and remind myself to talk into the microphone, not to the camera.
And from this point on, I'm going to cut out all the trimming of this beginning part and get into the actual editing. So we'll do a skip ahead here.
First thing we'll do is we're going to open up Dreamweaver.
So now I've got a lot of it out. we're now getting into where we start talking about what's going on in the actual lesson. So
first thing we'll do is we're going to open up Dreamweaver. I've got everything open from the last video.
Now I don't want that in there. I just want to keep the my notorious first thing we're going to do that I say over and over and over. Because I ended up talking to you guys for a little bit here. I can see that the lesson doesn't start again until about over here.
See, this happens sometimes.
See?
Alright. We want to access...
So we'll take that whole... First thing we're going to do is open Dreamweaver, and then we'll bring it over here to we want to access.
First thing we'll do is we're going to open up Dreamweaver. We want to access the...
Then what I'll do is what's called a zoom and pan. First I'll save, because I've done a lot of edits. And we'll take this little zoom window here, and we'll shrink it in so that we're looking at the files that we want to get to. I'm going to delete some of these keyframes here, because I don't want them.
We want to access the functions. So if we open up the functions folder, and we're going to open up Sandbox, because that's where we have our Git blog.
Now here's something I do that saves a lot of time, but it's also kind of a trademark of what we do. I mean, it's nothing special, but it's something that I found helps out a lot. Is I create a keyframe here that lines up pretty much perfectly with the line numbers here, so that you guys can follow along. What I do is I make it the entire span of the window. Then I copy that keyframe so that I can paste it over and over and over. So every time we go from opening a file to looking at the source code, or going to the browser to back to the source code, I can simply hit Control V and we're back into that. And then I can just kind of trim this up really quickly, but we keep the numbers as long as I keep this over here on the side, which you can barely see from the video, as long as I don't mess with these handles here, I can take this and manipulate it. So now we can continue on.
Log at. And what we need to do is figure out how we're going to reformat this date.
And I'll just go ahead and zoom in on what we're talking about. Save it.
And that's kind of the beauty of timestamps. Now we can do this either with PHP or we can do this with MySQL. We can return values via the query in the format that we want. And that's the way I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, sidebar here.
So here again I'm talking to you guys, so I'm going to have to cut this out. So I'm just going to go ahead and make a split here so I remember where it's at, save it, and figure out where I stop talking to you guys.
Able to just pull everything out of my brain as possible.
And watch me stumble on my words.
And date format, because I need to remember the syntax. I could probably wing it, but if I wing it during the video, that doesn't make me come off as knowing. I mean, I like to show mistakes as much as possible, but and I'll write it down to make it seem even more realistic. If we're looking at the screen right now, you can see all these awesome date and time functions. So at this point, I'm going to switch into lesson mode, and we'll make it sound like this was part of the lesson. So if you want to, you can search MySQL and start that over. If you want to, you...
So there we go. That's where we want to trim that to. So we'll take our little guy here, trim it over to that, and save it. Take a listen before that happens.
The format that we want. And that's the way I'm going to show you how to do that.
And it looks like I got that do-over in there a little bit. And again, looking at the wave, I can see this is where I said do-over. And I can trim that out, make that seamless.
If you want to, you can search Google, just type in MySQL, date function, date time function, whatever, and you'll get this list of all the functions you can use while working within a query.
Save, zoom out a little bit so I can see more of the wave.
A lot of these are really nice.
And we'll use the zoom and pan to kind of show what we're looking at.
You tend to use some of the same ones over and over, and we're going to pick a few of these to use. So that was part of the video.
Okay, so delete that keyframe, and then I start talking to you again. Save. Figure out where I start the video over again.
So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through before I start the video again and find the ones that I want, because we're probably going to want, I want to put the actual name of the month. So
let's find where I start again.
And then we're going to teach some people, we're going to teach.
And zoom out a little more. This looks promising right here. Looking at the waveform, I start jabbering on, so I'm either jabbering to you or I'm jabbering on the lesson.
So as we go through this list...
Yep, that's me. So let's take this here, trim it up. Take a preview from before, save it first.
Use.
Play.
So as we go through this list, what I want to do is I want to find the right way to display this date. And in my mind, right now, let's do the month actually spelled out. So February, we're January, whatever, and then the day of the month, 02, 04, 31, whatever, and then the 4-digit year. So we find the functions that fit. So we have day of month,
and we'll zoom in on that. A little bit of save.
we have month name, and then of course year.
And year is farther down. So we'll move the zoom and pan just a little bit. There you go. Save. Play.
Here. So we're going to use these functions within our query to extract these values from our timestamp. And in order to do so, we're going to do something.
And now I can use that paste to get us back to the source code. So there we go. So we're back with the line numbers and everything. Good to go. Hit play.
We're going to use an alias. And the alias is used by using the AS. AS is the term used to create an alias. Kind of looks like as, and that tripped me up a lot when I was first learning. But it actually almost makes sense though when you read it. If you read this query as a statement, it would almost make sense. So let's look at that.
So now we can take these handlebars, like I said, and zoom back in to what we're looking at, keeping the line numbers where they need to be. And again, I mean, I call it a trademark, but it's really, I used to watch a lot of Lee Brimlow's videos, and he did a really good job of keeping line numbers and things like that, and this formatting here. And I gotta hand it to Lee. He definitely, not necessarily personally taught me, but from watching his Flash videos, I learned a lot about how to do these in a really good manner. And I know Lee gets a lot of praise for how he handles his videos, how he teaches, and I know he's got some pretty good success from that. So I figure I give him a little shout out, for lack of better words.
Now I'm going to take a breather, because sometimes...
So now I'm talking to you again, which, no offense, but this is it's getting annoying having to cut this out. Usually I have to cut out my own little mistakes, but now I'm cutting out my narration.
Now I'm going to take a breather, because coffee, a little bit of...
So we know right here is where I say something about a breather, do a little split, zoom out a bit, find where I start again.
Like that at this point, otherwise I'd get nothing done. I will note though, is my bandmates always...
Man, I jabber on a lot. This looks more promising.
So what we're going to do is
There we go. So we'll bring this up here, right next to this spike, which is probably me making a mouth noise, like a or something. And let's see how well this works seamlessly here.
Let's look at that. So what we're going to do is we're going to edit this query here, this query online.
And I see a keyframe that was automatically generated that I don't want, a couple of them. Save. Go through, listen again. Wait.
This query online 23. And what we're going to do is we're going to keep it saying select all, but we're going to say select all, comma, and we're going to, normally what you would do is you can use comma to just select specific fields. In this case, we're going to select usually I have to wait for Dreamweaver to catch up because... Okay, so I think I figured out...
Alright, so we've got a lot to get rid of here. But we can, again, by looking at the waveform, we can kind of tell where things might pick up again.
I've used up 5...
Let's go ahead and just trim out all this. And see where we stand. Save. You're watching the video get substantially smaller now. We're down to 17 minutes out of like 40. And we're still not even where I start again.
Back to the video.
There it is. Back to the video.
Alright, so I want you to go ahead and save it up.
Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste that keyframe we have and then delete, or split that, and then let's see, delete the remaining mistake, maybe. There we go. So it's as if nothing happened.
Shift U. Alright, so I want you to go ahead and save and upload this. Control Shift S.
And actually I repeated myself, so
change this to the year. Now we...
So we'll trim this out. Start over.
I want you to go ahead and save and upload this. Control Shift S, or Control S, Control Shift U. And we'll go and take a look at what we did. Now at this point I need to...
So now I need to get rid of all that stuff that I was doing. Find where we actually look at the video again. And this is all me deleting massive amounts of photos of my driveway.
And just show you how to do things with code, with CSS, with HTML, now PHP, and a little bit of jQuery/JavaScript. So, thank you for tuning into this lesson, and we'll get into more of the admin in the next lesson.
And that's the end of the lesson. The rest is me jibber-jabbering to you. We pulled off making the lesson under 15 minutes, which is good. That's what we wanted. So we save it. And the last thing we need to do is scroll all the way back to the beginning. With the playhead here. Clip bin. I already have everything set up so I can import media. Grab the intro that everybody sees. And we add that to the timeline. And then we render and we're good to go. So right click on that. Add it to the timeline. There it is. And the video starts. Save that. Produce. Produce for the web. I already have the settings set up. It's set to go into a folder that has the number of the video it is. Hit finish. We cross our fingers that it doesn't crash when it starts rendering. Once it hits 0.01 or something, good. We're good to go. So, that is how we do it. I'm going to try to condense this video into something that is tolerable. This video is, I'm doing it for more than one reason. One, to just give you guys something to watch if you're interested in how we do this, if you guys want to get into it. We're also looking for instructors, so this shows potential instructors how we go about doing things. But I'm also going to add it, maybe a condensed version, I don't know, to the campaign to show potential donors what all goes into what we're doing, the sincerity of what we're doing, and the fact that we've got it down pretty good. I mean, even with the mistakes and the issues, I mean, you saw I quickly figured out why my server was being overloaded by snowflakes. But I handled it. I got it taken care of. We moved on with the video, and now here in about 20 minutes tops, we'll have another video for the series that everybody's been waiting for. So that's pretty cool. Other than that,
I want to thank anybody who dared to watch this behind the scenes video, and my I don't know where my hat's at. Anyway, we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.